Hello AP Econ students, this is Ms. Haley and welcome back to AP Macro Flip videos. Today in video 13 we're going to talk about international trade and specifically the benefits that come from international trade. So how do we define an economic trade balance, which will have to do with positive and negative net exports, and then what are the benefits of trade? So how do we define an economic trade balance? So when we're talking about trade and we're talking about the total amount of trade occurring in a nation, we're going to be using the expenditure part of GDP that has to do with net exports. So the difference between total exports and total imports. And so looking at that total export of final goods and services and the total imports of final goods and services, if we have a negative balance, that means that there's a trade deficit. Currently in this data over here, we're seeing that Jordan is experiencing more than $10 billion of trade deficit, versus if a nation has larger amount of total exports than total imports, like China currently, because they are one of the largest exporters in the world of goods, then they would be having a trade surplus. And what are the benefits of trade? Why do so many countries at the international level engage in trade? Well, what we might remember from micro is this idea of comparative advantage, that when countries decide to specialize in the item that has the lower opportunity cost for them. For example, in this table, we'll see that country A, the opportunity cost of one car is 2 bikes, and the opportunity cost for country B of one car is 4 bikes. That if country A specializes in cars, and then country B can buy those cars from country A, that one, the costs of the cars are cheaper for both of them. They're giving up less of another item to make that one item, and now their production possibilities curve expands. And what I want to do here is revise for you all a second way of calculating comparative advantage. If we're not given the total outputs, but we're given the total inputs that change, the way you would calculate this is looking at, like, if we're trying to find the same opportunity costs. What is opportunity costs for each country to make cars? You take the inputs needed divided by of that one item, divided by the inputs needed of what you're giving up. So for country A, again, their opportunity cost for one car is 10 divided by 5, or 2 bikes. And then here for country B, their opportunity cost for cars is 8 divided by 2, or 4 bikes. So country A still has the comparative advantage in specializing in cars. So we know from our comparative advantage idea that specializing, when a country specializes with the lowest opportunity cost, that there's benefit on both sides. And we can also bring back the concept in micro about economies of scale. And then if one country is choosing to make their product in large quantities, not just in small production and kind of spreading themselves thin in multiple different fields of business, that if a country is specializing in one specific product, that increasing the quantity of that product will decrease costs. That will help that country make more money from their endeavor. And then also the benefit of trade that is most affecting the consumers. Hypothetically, if there's increased competition, so one domestic product doesn't have a monopoly over a market, that they are having to compete at the international level in controlling that market, that consumers see more innovative products, more differentiated products that are appealing to their needs, because, for example, if Michelin is a French tire brand and they no longer have the French tire market cornered, that they have to compete against American tires, Italian tires, and German tires, that French consumers of tires will start to see all of these brands becoming more competitive and more innovative, and that these French tires have to work very hard to maintain their customers. And so these are the 3 benefits of trade we've discussed today: increased competition, economies of scale, and creation of value with comparative advantage. And for next video, we're going to talk about trade restrictions and how some countries might actually decrease their amount of trade or limit their trade to protect their home brands. So thank you for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.